My name is Chantal. I'm the volunteer coordinator here at Anova. I get to work with the best people that we have in our community, want to invest their time with us just because they care about what we do. And so I often say that I have the best job at this organization. I started at this organization not as the volunteer coordinator, but as the administrative assistant, where we were Sexual Assault Centre London, so we primarily focused on providing sexual assault counseling. And that was my first introduction to this world of Anova. Really inspired me to kind of stick around and kind of see, because something was special about Anova. And part of that was I also got to take the volunteer training, and it like blew open my world in really messy ways, but really great ways. Everyone comes from different experiences, but it's been really cool to watch people either come into themselves as like volunteer supporters, or we've had people who have gone through our training and realizing, wow, they actually need the services that Anova offers. And I think that's something that I often go back to when I think about my job, right? Work can be hard and life is busy, but I often remember or notice that I'm actually going to be part of people's healing journeys in a very unassuming way, and that's something that I really love about being a volunteer coordinator, because we do have people who have lived experience come, and this becomes part of how they reclaim what's happened to them. And I've had volunteers share with me, this has been life-changing. And so I like the risks that Anova takes. I like that we're not afraid to have the hard conversations or to say the hard things about the realities of domestic and sexual violence and how our communities are. And that's a lot of what I find drives volunteers to us as well. But what keeps me here is definitely being able to be part of a story of our volunteers' healing journeys that you don't get in the therapeutic environment where you're sitting with a counselor. You get to engage and live life with people. And that's something that I really love about this work. The biggest piece of engaging with volunteers is relational, is establishing a really common ground where I don't know more than my volunteers. I don't. Honestly, they know a lot more than I do. My job is really to kind of put the puzzle together, but they're doing the work. And I often share that with our volunteers. Their feedback is what I pull from all the time. The openness around really getting that feedback and recognizing them as the experts on the work that they're doing, that really allow them that freedom to come forward and say, hey, Chantal, this is not working, or can we try something new? And my job as their leader is to say yes, right? My job is to say, let's try it. And if it doesn't work, then we learn a lot from that. Anova is really ahead of the curve as far as recruitment. Normally, in a lot of ways, about 60%, I believe, of nonprofits report struggling with recruitment. Anova doesn't struggle with recruitment because we have created such a great environment where volunteers are the ones that are doing that piece. They're pulling other people in. And then from the moment that I meet with them and say, tell me about you, I am now starting my process of saying, hey, just because you haven't officially started, we still really value the fact that you're sitting with me in an interview. The fact that you took time to fill out that application and to share with me parts of yourself. Here's some parts about me, right? And so it's really about sitting on that level ground together and walking together through this work. So one of the surprising things that people don't realize is that we do have male volunteers that do come and support Anova. And we've had a significant increase in the number of males who come to volunteer at Anova. This male volunteer in the kitchen, there was these two young boys who were there with their mom, and they would hit mom and yell at her and just not listen, and just was making things a lot more challenging for mom. And they would ask this volunteer, what are you doing? Why are you in the kitchen helping? And he would say what he could, it's good to help and whatever. And I guess a couple of times this volunteer watched them treat their mom the way that they were, and I guess they shared a similar type of background. And I guess he came up to those children, he just gently put his hand on theirs and just said, I would never hit my mom. And the kids were kind of looked at him and okay. And then he went back and he continued to serve and get the meal ready. And A couple of weeks later, we then see these boys who were initially hitting mom are helping the volunteer serve food, helping the volunteer wipe tables down, being kind to mom, helping serve mom something to eat. And that radical shift, I get goosebumps talking about that story, that is the core of why we engage volunteers. That is the core of what we do as an organization. It's why having volunteers with our children in the shelter is what helps us get to that future without violence. So that is the place that we go when we talk about why have men present in a women's shelter. And that's a big one. And as we continue to evolve as a society, and as we start to look at how to provide gender inclusive supports for folks, and how do we make sure that we're all part of this, and we're all part of dealing with ending violence, I think the volunteer program is able to help pave the way a little bit, because we have these examples of these people coming in. An unannounced fire drill recently at one of our shelters, just of course safety, make sure everyone knows what to do. And it was cold out, but we needed to do it. And we had some families who came out, some didn't have shoes on or anything, they weren't ready, it was unannounced. And we had staff literally take shoes off of their own self to put on the kids, or they grabbed blankets from their cars to give to the moms, or to wrap around the children. And that is the core of us. That's the core of who Anova is when it comes to supporting people. And that extends just as much to our staff as it does to our volunteer team. The whole of what Anova does, why we're here, what keeps us going, that is what it is. It's the taking off of our own shoes so that those other people can have shoes on their feet. And that's what keeps me here too, because all places have their stuff, and life can be hard and this work can be hard, but at the end of the day, we want to keep people warm. At the end of the day, we want to have this building that they can be in so they're safe and they can have a minute to breathe. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud to be part of a team that are both our volunteer team and our staff, because our volunteers would have done the exact same thing. It's something to be proud of, and I'm really proud.